This is the time of opportunity. This is the time of new resolve, as opposed to the month of Elul, where we focus a lot on what was and needed to be fixed. Now we're in the time of the year where we focus on what will be, and we construct a better reality for ourselves for the new year. A big part of that is reconstructing and redefining our relationship with Hashem. That's actually what Teshuvah means. It's not so much about hitting your chest and saying, I did this wrong and I regret that. It's very much about defining a goal and a purpose and a path. How am I going to develop? How am I going to improve? What's going to be different about me in the coming year? It's interesting how for some people, the minute they speak about reconnection or deepening their connection with God, they immediately think about how much more religious they ought to be. Maybe I should be more careful with Shabbos, with kosher, with Torah study, and so on. Other people, as soon as they think about the concept of connecting to God, think immediately about how we're going to interact with other people. How kind will I be? How patient, how tolerant, how accepting? Very often the two of them run into a conflict. This is the way to connect to God. This is the way to connect to God. So people who are predisposed to religiosity feel that that is the path. And people who are predisposed to humanitarianism believe that that is the path. So which one is it? It's quite interesting that when God gave us the Torah, He specifically gave it on tablets. And the idea there is, unlike parchment, where the ink and the parchment are fundamentally two separate things that happen to come together, in the case of engraving something on the stone, it becomes part of what that stone is. So that was the message. Whatever is incorporated in those two tablets is effectively what needs to become part and parcel of us as human beings. Torah is not something we learn and practice. It should become who we are. But why two tablets? So if you have a look, on the one tablet, you have a series of laws that are called Bein Adam Lamokim, the relationship between us and God, or, if you prefer, religiosity. That there's this means of connection, which is the connection established by doing the things that are called mitzvahs. On the other tablet are Bein Adam Lachaveroi, the relationships between us and our fellow. And what's interesting about that is very often people believe that that's about me being a good person and me relating well to others, much more than they understand that that is part of how I connect with God. So if a person wants to do Teshuvah at this time of the year, like any good system, it has to be balanced. So if you think you're only going to focus on the religiosity and ignore the treatment of other people, you're unbalanced to the one extreme. And likewise, if a person is only interested in being a mensch, but doesn't appreciate the need to increase in their study and their observance of mitzvahs, they're unbalanced in the other direction. And the goal, as the Rambam Maimonides says, is to achieve a healthy sense of balance. But if you had to choose between the two of them, which to prioritize, which is an interesting question, the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement, once put it this way. There's a mitzvah to love God, and there is a mitzvah to love your fellow Jew. Out of the two, which mitzvah takes preference? Clearly, to love your fellow Jew. Because if you love someone, you'll show it by loving those who they love. If you love God, you'll show it by loving His people.